Hola mis amigos, bienvenidos mi episodio 3 de mi podcast. Hello and welcome to the Everyday Project. I'm back. Just got back from Argentina about a month ago now, actually. So not just back. And I feel like this trip has been especially special, one, because it's the first travel experience I've had with my boyfriend. So that's been really fun. Secondly, because it's the first time I've been to South America. Never been over that side of the world. Pretty incredible to get over there. The flight was long, but it was worth it. And honestly, the experience was just top tier, incredible. I am so happy and so grateful and just really glad that I got to go and have that experience. Also, I am drinking mate. So I've come back full Argentinian. I was drinking mate before I went, but like this, I don't know, just it's honestly become a part of my daily life now. Like I feel like it's replaced tea for me. I used to be a huge green tea drinker and now I am a mate drinker. So, and if you don't know, mate is a Argentinian drink. I think it's from Uruguay originally. It's like from Uruguay, Brazil. But yeah, South American drink. It literally looks like rabbit food in a kind of a cup with a straw, which they call a bombisha. And yeah, it's essentially like it kind of tastes like a green tea, but it's tastes like herby. It's a slow release of caffeine, so I do prefer it over coffee. It's actually amazing for my focus. Like I really, really like having it, and I can have lots of it, which is really nice. So I can keep having a drink in the day throughout the day. So yeah, I really enjoy that aspect of it. And it's a nice drink, healthy drink to share with friends as well. And in Argentina, that's that is part of the philosophy, I guess, of mate is going and sharing a mate in the park with friends. And there are many rules around this drink as well. Don't touch the straw. Make sure you finish your mate. It's kind of rude to not accept mate. There's someone who's always pouring the mate, and that person, they hand it to each person in the group. So it's a group activity. Drinking mate is a shared experience. It's about connecting with people and sharing time together. And yeah, you say you want to go take some mates to the beach, you go and you share mates at the beach. So that was a huge part of Argentina, obviously, drinking mate. Asado is another huge part of Argentina, which, if you don't know, is an Argentinian barbecue. Overall, Argentina was amazing, and I think that every single trip leaves me with something different in me, or changes something in me. Just gives me another part of perspective. I feel like every place I go, or every adds to you as a person, and I think Argentina definitely brought me some things that I didn't have before. I think this country is incredibly rich. Yeah, I think rich is the best way to describe it. There's just so much history. There's so much you can take from this country, and the people and the culture and that passion. Some questions in my mind, like, why is this culture? What makes people resilient in this culture? Why are people so passionate, especially about football? And when I do say football, as of now, I'm always referring to soccer for the Aussies out there. And what is it about this life in Argentina that makes you miss it so much? Because I think this is a country that is very easy to miss, but also just want to tell you a little bit about what it was like. What was Argentinian life like? What was it like seeing my boyfriend and his family back in his home? It's the first time he'd been home in 3 years, so that was an experience. So yeah, let's get into it. So Pedro hadn't seen his family in like 3 years. So that was like, getting off the plane after, I think it was 17 hours, plus we had a layover. I was so anxious. 6 hours of waiting in the Chilean airport, and I was like, get me there, I'm sick of it. But you know what? It's so nice when you're with someone else. Like doing that alone, I did, I think, 23 hours when I went from London to Melbourne, and that was one trip. I think that is genuinely the longest flight you can do in the world. that was rough on your own. I think like when you have someone on the plane, it is just so much nicer to be able to share that experience. And, you know, I have done a bit of solo travel. So comparing that is just so nice to have someone with you. We got there. That was super emotional. Obviously, there were many tears and hugs, and it was a really beautiful moment. And I felt very special to be able to be there and witness it. And yeah, I feel like it made me emotional because now obviously I have this connection with Pedro and like seeing and meeting his family and it's such like a whole nother thing as well I could talk about, but like the experience of dating someone who is from somewhere else in the world. Like, yeah, I had never seen Pedro's life before going to Argentina. So this experience was just really, really amazing for me to be able to have such another layer of understanding into his life. And yeah, it was really exciting to be able to have that opportunity. So we went to Buenos Aires. The city itself is gorgeous. Like just, it's giving Paris, it's giving New York, it's giving European but also American vibe. Like I think the city is incredible and beautiful. Obviously there are pockets where it's dangerous and we obviously didn't go to those places, to the villas, which are the poorer neighborhoods. In this city, like there are different neighborhoods and basically you're not supposed to go in any neighborhoods. If you don't know someone in the neighborhood, you don't enter the neighborhood. Basically, that's just kind of like common sense there. So I think that's like a safety thing. But yeah, obviously it's very different. Like the safety aspect, I think that's something, you know, people get curious about going there. I mean, yes, if I was going on my own, it would have been a completely different trip. Obviously I had a personal tour guide. Pedro handled everything. I felt like I was really quite relaxed. I really just enjoyed the holiday and I was very grateful for that. Had I gone there on my own, I was thinking it's just even not being able to speak Spanish as well, like also would have been so difficult because I think it is different. It's not like going to Europe and or somewhere else like Asia and a lot of places like in Vietnam or Thailand or Bali, they have English speaking. I feel like in Buenos Aires, there is actually less English speaking people that go here. And even though probably the waiters do speak English, I think it was actually kind of rare for them to actually speak English. Like mostly straight away you will get spoken to with Spanish, which I actually liked because I'm learning Spanish and in general my Spanish was good. I ordered a few things on the plane. I ordered my own water and food and that was really exciting actually to be able to do that for the first time. And honestly, I loved it for that aspect. Like after learning Spanish for about a year and then going to a country where you're just thinking in Spanish for 3 weeks was just amazing for my brain. And hearing the accent, just the listening practice was incredible. So fun to be able to actually test and see how much I know, you know, really being thrown in the deep end, especially with his family at gatherings and things. We played games. And that was a great way for me to learn. Yeah, honestly, I want to do a whole nother episode on what it's been like learning Spanish in general, because I think there is so much I could say on that, but I just want to say I feel like it's widened my brain so much. I feel like it just makes it such a fun thing for my brain. Like learning Spanish is so fun for my brain. I think my brain loves it. It's really rewarding because when you do start being put in these situations like at a family gathering or people are talking and then I suddenly understand, or, you know, there'll be times when someone's having a conversation and I'll kind of be like, oh, I don't agree, or I'll just say something and I then register, oh, I actually understood that. Like it's like a fun surprise for yourself seeing how you learn, because it is one of those things that it does take so much time to learn a language, but I think it's very rewarding when you do start noticing those little glimpses of progress. So, and then we also went to a small town called San Martín de los Andes. That is inside Patagonia. So that's in the south. It was definitely a lot colder there. This small town reminded me so much of Red Dead Redemption. Fun fact, have finished both the first and the second game and I loved those games. I love the free roam. The concept of that game and the storyline is incredible, and just that free roam and how much detail was in that game, incredible. Won't talk about that forever, but it's like that is just, yeah, that town was literally like the spitting image of Red Dead Redemption for me. Like there were horses, gauchos. So gauchos are the Argentinian cowboys. Found this guy through WhatsApp who does like horse riding, and Pedro and I went for horse ride, like out in the country of this like beautiful Patagonian landscape. And oh my gosh, I will 100% return to Patagonia one day because I just loved that countryside. Like that was just, I don't know, there was something about being there and living this real life Red Dead Redemption experience that was just so fulfilling for me. I think it has been on my bucket list to ride a horse in a landscape like that because of Red Dead Redemption, and I honestly think that was just the coolest thing ever. So I loved that. Just incredible. So beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's how Argentina is similar to Australia in ways. Like there is some really beautiful countryside. Yeah, I mean, it's just gorgeous in that part of Patagonia. Apart from that, it was a lot of 12-hour family gatherings. And for me, coming from quite a independent, individualized culture here, you know, my family is quite independent. So we are a bit different to that. You know, we don't spend 12 hours together in a day, but I really loved that side of it as well. And yeah, it was honestly kind of like being in a, maybe some people could describe it as like an Italian grandmother's. You're looked after, you're accommodated for. I just felt so at home. So yeah, if Pedro's family is listening to this, love you and thank you so much for that incredible experience, because I do feel like they made me feel so welcomed and at home, and it was just really beautiful. The food, I will just say, is incredible. If you do go to Argentina, you'll obviously hear about asado, which is the Argentinian barbecue. And yep, asado is very good. To be fair, it's pretty amazing. Like the meat and the quality is something you cannot get in Australia. I think I was a bit sick of cheese, meat and bread by the end, but went on holidays, went in Argentina. And actually Argentinian food is like quite inspired by Italian food, I would say, because the Italians colonized Argentina. So yeah, there's a lot of Italian influence there, and the ice cream, my God, is something. If I could package that up and bring it back, it's next level. Like you cannot get that in Melbourne. In Melbourne, we have creamy ice cream. It's not the same freshness or like just quality. Or maybe there is a place. Let me know somewhere where your favorite ice cream place is in Melbourne that I haven't been to, because yeah, I need to know that. I saw someone actually talking about this on TikTok. I've gotten on, you know, I've been on Argentinian TikTok. And some guy is like, I feel like Argentina is a place that once you visit, you're going to miss it. And I don't even think this guy has family there, or I don't know what it is about this country, but I just miss it. And now I can kind of understand why that is. I think it's because Argentina is so rich. It's like, if I could describe Argentina, it's kind of like touching grass. Like I think that is honestly what it is. There's something so human about Argentina, that this grit and like realness of this country is like, when you go there, you just feel like, you feel the passion, you feel that like humanness. Like I can't explain it, but I think it's a country that's been through so much that comes through the culture, it comes through the people, it comes through the food. It's got like this like grit to it, I think is the best way I can describe it, like a bit of dirt. I think that's what makes it feel like when you're there, it's just so real. Like life in Melbourne, of course, is real, but I feel like I touched some grass. I touched some fucking grass in Argentina. Honestly, I think that's what it was. Okay, many things that inspired me about this country and the people, and some things that I really loved. The biggest thing that I noticed between Argentina and Melbourne is like this unplanned life. Like I said, going to Argentina is like touching some fucking grass. And I say that because I think it's not until you remove yourself from the bubble that we are in Melbourne, and you go to places like Vietnam and Argentina. And in the last 3 months, I have been to both those places. And I think doing those 2 trips, and then I think specifically Argentina, I came back to Melbourne. I realized this like illusion that I'm in here. Like I feel like the biggest difference I notice, and the comparison with the culture and the people, and I've always noticed this between Pedro and I as well, is this unplanned lifestyle. Like I think that in Melbourne we are planning things. We have calendars, timelines, schedules, places to be. It's a city life, you know. And of course we have that in Buenos Aires as well. Like people are planning, people have work, people have things that they're doing. But there's something that's different about that. And I I think I've understood why after visiting Argentina, why that is. What I really loved about being in this country was the time to connect with people. I think that when I went to Argentina, it was like every day it was just quality time with people. And that is something I cannot replicate here in Melbourne. I have hours of time with my friends, of course. We spend hours, but no matter what it is, I feel like I cannot replicate that experience here. And of course, it was an aspect of being on holidays. 3 weeks I was living with Pedro's family. It wasn't, I was on holidays. I was enjoying. I was relaxing. So of course, I had time to spend with people. So of course, there is an aspect of it just being on holidays. But in general, one of the biggest things I've noticed between Pedro and my relationship with him, our relationship, is that quality time is a really big deal to us. Like having that time to just like hang out and just chat and do things. And the same with his friends. Like even when I hang out with his friends and that side of it, I love that part of the culture so much. Like mate is literally the symbol for that quality time, going to the park, going to the beach, sharing some mates, like sitting in the park. My first date with Pedro was sitting in a park having mate. And that is one thing I really love about this culture, is that quality time. And when I was spending time with Pedro's family, they thought it was outrageous that I had things in my calendar 3 months from now, because in Argentina, you just don't plan that far ahead in life. So far ahead. I don't think you can in Argentina. And I think what's interesting about Argentina is this history. So by 1913, Argentina ranked among the 10 richest nations in the world. And now it's recently been labeled one of the most corrupt nations in the world. So it was extremely wealthy for its resources, for its land, for its talent. And it's like, what the hell happened to all of this wealth that Argentina had? Argentina is an incredible country. There is so many resources there. There's so many talented people. There's so much land. And it was extremely wealthy. Like I said, 100 years ago, around 110, 120 years ago, this country was one of the wealthiest countries in the world, similar to Japan. So what happened in all that time? To summarize, what happened in those 100 years is poor political decisions, poor handling of the government, basically. I asked ChatGPT to give me 5 of the main events that fucked Argentina. So basically, let's go through that. Firstly, in the 1930s, that cheating is okay. So the military kicked out the president and they started rigging elections. In the 1940s, the giant government problem. So the government took over everything, trains, factories, phones. They created millions of government jobs that were given to friends instead of people who knew how to do the work. And it turned the country into basically a giant piggy bank for politicians. Credit card disaster in 1970s. Military group took over and spent money like crazy, basically created international debt. The Argentinians are still paying off that bill today. Then there was the garage sale scams in the 1990s. So the government decided to sell all those state-owned companies, the ones from the 40s, to private owners. The politicians took huge bribes under the table to sell things cheap. And then the money printer trap. So in the recent years, instead of fixing the economy, the government just kept printing more and more money, and that made money worthless. There was hyperinflation that allowed people in power to get rich by playing games with the exchange rate while everyone else got poor. And so essentially, overall, only thing you really need to know is that Argentina was a really wealthy country, and it basically got fucked over by its government. It basically got ruined by its government. And the interesting thing about this, and the reason I wanted to explain that, was because of this unstable government and how we went from one thing to the other, and people learnt to not trust the government. This created a cultural change in Argentina. People lacked trust in the government and therefore lacked trust in other people. This country became a place of uncertainty and change, that just change was expected. Things happened like that. And family became everything. I think this is why, in this country, it's a very big thing to be in touch with your family, and family is everything, because in those moments, the people that you look across the table at and you share dinners with are the only people that you can trust. I think that unpredictable government means that you can't plan life in Argentina. And that is the biggest insight for me. That's why my partner is the way he is and plans so far ahead We live in the moment. And then when I was there, why people are just so happy to just be in that quality time, and it was very relaxed, and everyone has time for you and the people they trust and they love. Because yeah, I think through hard times, that's what bonds those people together. And they've obviously been through these crazy situations with their government that it's caused this. But this unpredictability makes people here resilient. It makes people passionate, and it makes people connected because they live in the moment and they don't plan so far ahead like we do in Melbourne, where we do have this predictability and we do have certainty around things, and we can lock things in our calendar from 3 months from now, which the Argentinians, any Argentinian I know, thinks is outrageous. So it's really interesting just understanding the history behind Argentina and how that's created this cultural change. And obviously all these opinions are my own. This is all my analysis and thoughts of this country. But this is what I find interesting, is learning these things and understanding more about Pedro, this culture. And it's kind of ironic because when I was over there, you know, talking about this unpredictability and like these changes in life, it was like my life was being foreshadowed, because I actually got an email that my role had been terminated. So I lost my job in Argentina, essentially, which was pretty shit, to be honest. That was just like foreshadowing this whole philosophy that life is unplanned. You can't predict things. I think that's what I realize my life in Melbourne is a bit of a lie sometimes, because I do have this sense of certainty. I do think that I can plan everything and do everything that I want to do, but it's not until I step outside of that and I go to a place like Argentina and I realize how people are not planning and they're living in the moment there a bit more. And it's not until I realize, and also in my own life, that foreshadowing when I lost my job, is that you cannot plan life. Like, anything can happen. And it's almost just like a reminder, or like I said, I touched some fucking grass in Argentina, because it reminded me that at the end of the day, you cannot plan for life. No matter where you are, no matter what city you're in or what you're doing, life will find ways to surprise you. Honestly, just like, and a lot of the essays I write, I notice this theme keeps coming up for me, is uncertainty and unpredictability. And I think every trip that I go on and I have this experience of realization that, again, life is unpredictable, it does just bring you back to earth and make you realize that you can only plan so much. And to an extent, part of life is a bit of that mystery and that uncertainty. And I think that that's what makes us resilient. I think that's what makes us passionate, alive. Understanding that is, and just being aware. I think, like I always say in my episodes, I think that awareness of things is like so powerful. But being aware that even though you are planning your life and things in Melbourne, that you also can't. Anything can happen. And just I think holding that with you and having that sense of almost like possibility, or that sense of unpredictability with you every day, is something to just take with you in your day. The incredible privilege about being in Melbourne and living in this life is to be able to choose what you want to do and go where you want to go. If I could compare Buenos Aires and Melbourne, I would say that being in Buenos Aires is like being in the ocean, and being in Melbourne is like a swimming pool. In the ocean, you've got this intensity, you've got a lot of things you've got to do to survive, you've got unpredictability, but it's rich, it's diverse, you could go anywhere, you build this resilience and this strength and this passion for life, because you're really thrown in the deep end. And in Melbourne, I'm not saying that we have it easy here, and I'm not taking away from that, but I do think that it's a totally different life. And I feel like you have to realize this bubble that we're kind of in sometimes. I feel like I wanted to, for me, it gives me a perspective of realizing this like structure and security that we have in this life here, which is the privilege of living here. Yeah, one of the biggest things that surprised me in Argentina was the lack of fences around pools. Super random, but that lack of structure and protection around play, I think it was like it was reminding me of this like symbol of freedom in Argentina. I just feel like there were kids just playing around the pool, and play is just so free there. You know, it's this, the kids are out, they're throwing things, they're making a mess. I think everything's so much more structured here. Even the playgrounds, you know, we're so protected, like everything's so protected. Kids play so different there. And I think it's such a contrast to see that, like, yes and no. But I do think we just have so much more protection in this city. And I think that we have to remember that that protection is sometimes a bit of a facade, because it's not real life. Real life is unpredictable. Change is guaranteed, and you can't live in these constant what ifs. If there's anything I just want to bring back to Melbourne, this unplanned life feeling, and also bring rituals as well. There's many amazing rituals in Argentina, just like sitting at the table. And my boyfriend was like, no, we don't clear plates until we're all finished here. And I think little things like that. It's Sunday lunches. Every Sunday the family catches up for lunch. Kissing, hello and goodbye. Those rituals are really small, unspoken rules. They're traditions that are so ingrained in that culture. And honestly, I've actually found an appreciation for that, because I think that it is those rituals that hold everything together in the chaos. Argentina's taught me a lot of things. It's been a place that's really inspired me, and it's really beautiful to be able to have experienced and witnessed that with Pedro and his family, and I'm really grateful for that experience. And honestly, I came back just feeling so refreshed and re-energized and excited about life, because I think I do realize in Melbourne how lucky I am to now have that security, that certainty to be able to plan things. That is the incredible privilege of being in the city. And so, yeah, that's just something I wanted to talk about and remind anyone listening to this, because I think we all do get caught in our bubble here. Yeah, and I do think since coming back, it's just given me this motivation that I can steer life in any direction I want here. I just kind of need to, I think it's just being aware of that fragility, that, anything can happen. And I'm so lucky to be here in this city with this choice and this life. And that's an amazing privilege. So I should be doing something with it. So here I am making a podcast episode and talking about things that I think inspire me or make me things that I want to carry through to life with me. This is another one of those things. So thank you so much for joining me today. That's all I have time for. And I really appreciate you being here and supporting this journey. It is a slow journey, but we're getting there. And I really do hope to have more episodes soon, more frequently soon. Life has been a bit of a roller coaster, honestly. I think I've been processing a lot of things in my own personal life. And yeah, I really want to keep this space. I want to show up here excited to talk about things, and I want to keep this as quality stuff. I don't want to just make things for the sake of it. I want to be able to come on here and really talk about things that I'm passionate and excited to talk about, and I want to keep it quality for you guys. I don't want it to be just noise, because there's enough of that in the world, and this space is for taking a pause in your everyday life. Don't forget to romanticize your life and quiet the noise. And I'll see you next time on The Everyday Project. I'm your host, Mel Bowmans, and thank you so much for joining me today. Ciao, ciao.